identity proofs, and they will keep on marching like this. So far, 3 rounds of tear gas have been shelled at the farmers who are protesting. And also the farmers are saying that they will keep on protesting till somebody from the authority does not come here and talk to them. Back to studio.
Thank you, Anushka, for joining us and bringing us those details from the ground. The Supreme Court has constituted a special bench to hear a batch of petitions challenging the Places of Worship Special Provisions Act 1991 amid concerns raised over multiple suits being filed across the country by Hindu parties seeking survey of ancient mosques to verify the presence of ancient temple ruins lying underneath. The special bench will be headed by Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna and will comprise 2 other judges, the Justices P.V. Sanjay Kumar and K.V. Vishwanathan. The matter will be taken up on the 12th of December, is what we're learning. We'll continue tracking these stories for you. For now, a short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai, to the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here. NDTV proudly upholds its
Syrian regime has officially fallen to rebels, marking the end of the 50-year rule of the Assad family. Reports also suggest that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has reportedly fled the country of Syria for an unknown destination. The opposition forces in war-torn Syria entered the capital of Damascus early this morning. My colleague Vishal joins us with more details. Vishal, take us to the latest reports that are coming from the ground in Syria as far as the President Assad is concerned.
Well, the Syrian capital Damascus is filled with rebel fighters as we speak. Thousands of rebel fighters have stormed the capital, and the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, has escaped the country. Reports suggest that his plane left the country as soon as the rebels came in, and he has gone to an unknown location. As of now, the reports don't say where he has exactly headed. He has allies in the region and across the region also. Bigger allies in Russia. So it remains to be seen where he's exactly gone. But at the moment, the HTS, which is the head of the rebel forces, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, that has roamed through the country and won key cities, and now Damascus has also been won by HTS. Now what remains to be seen is what is next for Syria, in the sense that in the last 54 years, the whole country was, the whole country fell under Assad regime. Assad's father, Hafez al-Assad, was the president before 2000. So what now for Syria? Because the rebels themselves are quite extreme. They have tried to remodel themselves. They have tried to project themselves as someone who are moderate than other extremists. But that remains to be seen. But Syrian people seem to be happy because thousands have stormed the streets and they have torn down posters, toppled many statues of Assad regime. So it's a celebratory mahal, celebratory thing in Syria, and that remains to be seen whether or not the peace will prevail.
Thank you, Vishal, for joining us and bringing us those details. We'll continue tracking these stories for you. For now, a short break.
This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
Meet the exceptional individuals who are NDTV's Indians of the Year.
Ananya Pandey,
Vijay Murugesh Nirani,
Gautam Hari Singhania, NDTV Indian of the Year, India's polling booth officers.
आज का दिन जो फुट सोल्जर्स, प्रिजाइडिंग ऑफिसर्स जो टीम है उनको सेलिब्रेट करने का है.
A night of celebration. A night of recognition.
Thank you so much NDTV for this honor.
Thank you so much, NDTV. This means a lot to me.
A night of joy.
भगवान आपको लंबी उम्र दे.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024. Only on the NDTV network.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From maximum city, Mumbai,
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
have been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
Hello and welcome. This is India Sense. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. We've got a power-packed lineup of stories that matter to India, its rise and its growth. But first up, the headlines. The gloves are off in Bangladesh. Student organizations now boycott anti-discrimination students movement dialogue, termed the movement that ousted former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina as a government-backed student organization. What should be India's options as commentary from Dhaka turns strident against New Delhi? We get you that answer. A week of massive political turmoil from France to South Korea. Sitting presidents struggle with fractured polity. In both Paris and Seoul, Parliament not governed by sitting president's party. Chaos and political uncertainty in nations ranked much higher than India in Democracy Index. Second quarter GDP data shocks India. Growth slows to its lowest since 2020. We tell you what can be done and why India needs to now look at long-term reforms to get back on the 8% growth highway. US President-elect Donald Trump is racing to complete his administration in record time. Picks David Perdue as China ambassador and former PayPal COO David Sachs as White House AI czar, even as several picks are facing uncertain future. Are Trump's picks problematic or is there more to it? One of USA Inc.'s biggest voices shot dead in broad daylight on a busy Manhattan street. 24 hours later, the police make little progress in the manhunt, raising questions about the safety and law and order in the world's biggest financial center. Setbacks in Syria continue for the Bashar al-Assad government as Syrian rebels led by Baghdadi's close aide take over Hama after taking over Aleppo. India Sense decodes how Syria is impacting the Middle East and who stands to gain and who is the biggest loser. Our first story, the big story in fact on India Sense is what's happening in Bangladesh and the power struggle that is now coming to fore. It seems that Bangladesh's political crisis is far from over. It started as a battle for the national unity among students and activists, has now in fact turned into a bit of a political contest and a struggle. Bangladesh saw 19 student organizations from across the country unite for the National Student Solidarity Week, which started from the 26th of November. But after a week, now there are cracks that have appeared. The political student organizations, including the BNP student wing and some of the left-wing groups, have refused to attend a key dialogue. Why did they do so? Because they feel this is now mainstreaming of some of the extremist ideologies that some factions actually propagate. And in fact, they criticize the interim government for excluding certain factions and preferring those that have a more extremist ideology. Only a handful of student groups were actually selected, and those that were affiliated with the Islamic parties, whether it's the Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami or the Islami Andolon Bangladesh. And beyond that, most stayed away. They claim that the anti-discrimination student movement has now become a puppet of the government. It's no longer inclusive, but fueling division. Divisions that have only come to light in the last 4 months in Bangladesh. One such group, in fact, took to the streets with a different message. They said they wanted justice for the violent killings that marred the July uprising, something that Awami League has been really focused on and has been seen as the primary culprit of. But the absence of unity amongst these student leaders reflects the largest struggle that Bangladesh is facing. It's at a crossroads. There are economic problems, there are political problems, and of course there are now larger geopolitical problems, particularly the fact that Bangladesh's commentary, particularly from the government, is becoming more and more strident against India, almost baiting it. Of course, India hasn't taken the bait so far, but the fact is that is likely to cause more headwinds, more challenges for the Yunus government. And in fact, as Bangladesh burns, we are now going to focus on what all should India be doing and what are India's options, given the fact that minorities, particularly the Hindu minorities, have been facing the wrath of extremist ideologies, extremist organizations. Now, there are a couple of things that India needs to focus on and navigate this volatile situation. Options are limited, but there are some options. First and foremost, the diplomatic strategy, as has been the case so far, communication lines must remain robust. They must remain up and running, because who knows who will make way for Mohammad Yunus's interim government as and when elections take place. No one knows. Will it be another extremist ideology-led government? Even in that situation, if communication lines remain open, if cultural ties, historic ties, language-related ties all remain robust, that will make for continued communication between the two governments. As far as mistreatment of minorities is concerned, India has been calling that out repeatedly and must continue to do so. There are caveats in place as well. These are Bangladeshi citizens. Of course, they must get exactly the same treatment that any other Bangladeshi citizen must get as per the Bangladeshi constitution. But they are Bangladeshi citizens, and India must call them out, but do so with exercising utmost restraint. What it can do is it can ensure that aid and financial support can continue for and must continue for Bangladesh. The economy has seen a major collapse. There are large sections of Bangladeshi society which do want to have good ties with India. And in those circumstances and those people, they get emboldened, they get strengthened when aid continues from India, when grant continues from India. Remember, this is exactly what India did even during the times of crisis that Sri Lanka faced. The economic turmoil did not stop India from extending that big brotherly hand which lifted Sri Lanka out of its economic misery. In Bangladesh, things are different because, of course, there are extremist ideologies at play. But as I said, if India continues to extend that hand of friendship, some of these voices, extremist voices, may be reduced and may in fact be weakened by some of the other voices in Bangladeshi society, because not all want to stay away from India. They realize the importance, the significance of having ties with India, with New Delhi, which continues to be the big brother. And last but most importantly, India needs to continue to exercise restraint. It's been doing so and needs to continue doing so going forward as well. Shifting focus to the Indian economy, which is our first wide angle on this show. India has been the fastest growing economies in the last few years.
aspires to be a $7 trillion economy in the next couple of years and is almost on track. But the latest GDP data for the second quarter has been a shocker and also a reason to now recalibrate. Growth has slowed to the slowest in the last 4 years. The recalibration needs to take place to ensure that the challenges and the opportunities that may come up during Trump 2.0, India is in a position to grab them with both hands. Yes, there will be high tariffs, but there will also be greater decoupling from China. If India has its reform agenda in place, if it's able to address to some of the data points that the GDP numbers throw up, it will be in a better position. And how does it go about doing that? This report tells you. Riding on the wave of world-beating 8.2% growth last year to a below expectations growth rate of just 5.4%, the growth outlook for India has suddenly sombered. The manufacturing sector, a crucial engine for India's economy, is now sputtering, with construction and automobiles feeling the pinch. The manufacturing PMI fell to an 11-month low of 56.5 in November. Add to this the general election cycle that halted the government's capex. The GDP shocker has forced brokerages to cut their FY25 GDP growth projections for India. RBI's 7.2% growth outlook now looks difficult. Most analysts now expect the full year growth to be around 6%. But perhaps the most worrying statistic is the fall in real wage growth and declining urban consumption, reflected in the results of FMCG companies. This also tells what exactly the government needs to do. Pump priming the economy cannot go on indefinitely, and with the intent to cut fiscal deficit, government capex cycle is unlikely to be the primary growth vehicle. Private sector investments need to pick up. Government needs to create a robust mechanism for boosting manufacturing. Textiles, which has seen the sharpest decline, can pick up due to the headwinds the Bangladeshi textile industry is currently facing. This will create jobs. Urban middle class has traditionally been one of the strongest supporters of the BJP and also a votary of big-ticket reforms. Present economic downturn has hit this segment hard. The question remains, will this slowdown be like the 2019 one, before COVID set in? Or will the government be able to arrest this with a mix of reforms and rate cuts? Time will tell, but the country's resilience and ingenuity have always been its greatest assets. All right, the other big story and the other wide-angle story on the show. Well, another week, another round of drama that's unfolding in Trump 2.0's upcoming cabinet. In what could be the biggest shake-up yet, the president-elect's choices for key positions are now pretty much crumbling because of the scandal and controversy they are facing. The question is, what really is going on behind doors? And are these just bad picks, or is this something deeper that's really at play here? Take a look at this report that tells you.
Donald Trump's second-term cabinet is facing a major crisis. 3 key picks have now withdrawn, throwing his leadership plans into disarray. First up, Pete Hegseth, the outspoken Fox News host, Trump loyalist, and former military advocate who was supposed to take the reins of the Pentagon. But now, his nomination is in hot water following explosive whistleblower reports and troubling documents surfacing about his past. Accusations of financial mismanagement, sexist behavior, and repeated intoxication on the job have put Hegseth's confirmation in jeopardy. It seems Trump's so-called star pick is now a liability, and the Pentagon has become a political football. Hegseth is now caught in a web of scandal that's difficult to escape. What happened to the man who was once considered the face of a new generation of military leadership? Is he the right man for the job, or just the wrong man at the wrong time? And let's not forget Matt Gaetz. Just days ago, the Florida congressman was nominated to be Trump's attorney general, only to withdraw in the wake of a sexual scandal. It has thrown his career and Trump's inner circle into chaos. A nomination that seemed like a good fit suddenly unraveled, with the scandal overshadowing any hopes of moving forward. But the hits just keep coming. Chad Chronister, Trump's pick to fill another key role, has now backed out, citing his desire to stay sheriff of Hillsborough County, Florida. Chronister, too, has faced opposition from Republicans. His rather colorful history, both in and out of law enforcement, has made him an easy target for critics. His past videos, now circulating wildly on social media, have painted him in an unfavorable light, with detractors slamming his fitness for high office. What's becoming clear is that Trump's dream team is looking more like a house of cards, ready to collapse at any moment. So why is Trump's team crumbling? Are these just bad appointments, or is something bigger at play? Some say it's simply a case of bad judgment, choices that were rushed without considering the full scope of the individuals involved. Others argue there's a darker, more systemic issue. Whatever the reason, one thing's clear: this is the worst string of appointments we've seen in modern political history. It's a game of musical chairs where the music keeps stopping and everyone's getting up at the wrong time. With each name that drops out, with each nomination that crashes and burns, Trump's cabinet looks less like a well-oiled machine and more like a sinking ship. So, is this a conspiracy, a grand political scheme, or are these just the worst ever picks any American president-elect has made? As always with Trump, the answer is anything but clear. But one thing is certain: in this game of high stakes, the players and the stakes are getting bigger by the minute.
We now turn our attention to Syria, where there have been a stunning turn of events in the last 1 week. And in fact, it's set to alter the entire region, with another key city set to fall into the hands of the rebel groups. And the Assad regime is now facing a very real prospect of losing power. And India Sense is now going to decode what this means for all the major stakeholders. Who stands to win, who stands to lose. And there are about 5 key stakeholders here, apart from several others. Let's take them all one by one. First up, Turkey. A possible fall of the Assad government is a huge victory for Erdogan. Turkey will expand its influence. Remember, from 1516 till about 1918, Syria was in fact part of the Ottoman Empire. And that's exactly what Erdogan will now be telling and saying to his domestic audience when Turkey increases its influence in Syria. Secondly, Erdogan will be able to send back millions of Syrian refugees that have been in Turkey since the conflict started after the Arab Spring in 2011, and that will definitely and positively impact his ratings. Now, the second key player is Russia, and this is, if at all the Assad government falls, it is very bad news for Russia and for President Putin. This will significantly cut Russia's influence and Putin's influence, who's very closely aligned to the Assad regime since 2015, when Russia provided military assistance to the Bashar al-Assad regime. Will this be Moscow's Saigon? Well, time will only tell, but the uncertainty is bound to hit the Tartus naval base, that is the Soviet-era naval base in Syria, established since 1971. Now, the third key player in this is, of course, Iran. Again, very bad news for Iran if Assad loses power. It is a likelihood, given that a second major city has been grabbed by the rebels. Why? Because Iran will lose a major ally. And in fact, it will also lose to a close competitor and a regional competitor, Turkey. Remember, Turkey and Iran have been jostling for regional supremacy. And with one up for Turkey, this is very bad news for Iran. In fact, it will also end Iran's ability to rearm Hezbollah, since the route from Iran to Syria, Iran to Lebanon, in fact, goes via Syria, and it's likely to pretty much be out of bounds for Iranian military. Now, let's talk about who stands to gain. Israel stands to gain. For Israel, Syria is going to be going to jihadists. It will mean more volatility and possibly bigger tensions later. But right now, with Iranian military unable to reach Syria or Lebanon and aid Hezbollah, it will be a huge victory for Israelis, because it will mean lesser tensions and lesser possible threats. And finally, for the US, what does it mean? Under Trump 2.0, this is a huge win. Why? Russia out of Syria, Iran ally, Assad out of Syria, and the chance of being able to limit Hezbollah and be able to also, in fact, military reach out to Hezbollah is going to be very significant. So these are the main players in Syria, all of which stand to get massively impacted if Assad regime falls in the next couple of days.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
एनडीटीवी नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
Meet the exceptional individuals who are NDTV's Indians of the Year.
Ananya Pandey.
मुरुगेश निरानी,
गौतम हरी सिंघानिया, एनडीटीवी इंडियन ऑफ द ईयर, इंडिया पोलिंग बूथ ऑफिसर्स।
आज का दिन जो फुट सोल्जर्स, प्रिजाइडिंग ऑफिसर्स जो टीम है उनको सेलिब्रेट करने का है।
A night of celebration. A night of recognition.
Thank you so much NDTV for this honor.
Thank you so much NDTV. This means a lot to me.
A night of joy.
भगवान आपको लंबी उम्र दे।
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024. Only on the NDTV network.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From maximum city, Mumbai,
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their
as far as South Korea is concerned, well, let me tell our viewers that democracy is probably one of the most important virtues for a country. And for some like India, it's part of our ethos. But for some nations, this has been a journey which has been not just recent, but also full of obstacles and some roadblocks. And that's exactly what South Korea is witnessing. And the happenings in South Korea are a constant reminder of the imperfect democracy that Seoul and people of South Korea live with. In fact, nearly all its presidents have faced impeachment. They've either been assassinated or have been jailed for corruption or have faced coups. So it's been a very imperfect ride to democracy for South Korea. And this report tells you why Seoul's latest attempt and the coup that was attempted is nothing but another chapter from the same playbook of presidential history, replete with martial law, corruption, and coups.
South Korea, a small and prosperous nation in East Asia with a per capita income of over $34,000. South Korea is one of the 4 Asian tigers that have turned into successful export-oriented economies, but its presidential report card has been checkered. South Korea's first president Ri's tenure saw autocracy, heavy-handed suppression of dissent. He resigned after massive public protests. Yoon's term was cut short by a military coup led by Major General Park Chung-hee. Park's takeover provided legitimacy to his military takeover. Park's tenure ended with his assassination after years of human rights violations and oppression. Park's successor Choi Kyu-ha had a short stint and was deposed by martial law imposed by Chun Do-hwan. Under Chun's 2 presidential terms, Gwangju uprising led to large-scale human rights violations. In 1996, he faced death sentence, later commuted to life sentence. Roh Tae-woo became South Korea's first democratically elected president, and he stepped down in 1993. He was sentenced to 17 years in jail. A decade later, Roh Moo-hyun faced impeachment. And Yoon's predecessor, South Korea's first female president, Park Geun-hye, was impeached, removed from office, and jailed.
All right, the big story, also the one that we are tracking right now, is the latest that's happening between US and China. They are locked in a battle to gain dominance over the semiconductor industry, and this has been going on for 3 years now. 3 years there have been export controls the Biden administration has been imposing. Of course, only half-hearted measures, some of them, all still allowing China to continue unabated. But there have been a latest set of rounds of in fact, fines that have been put in place, measures that have been put in place by both sides. What does it lead to? And most importantly, what happens to the future of the chip industry that essentially controls the world? This report tells you.
In the ever-dynamic world of technology, semiconductors are unlocking new possibilities. From reshaping customer experience to mitigating risks, semiconductors or chips seem to be doing it all. The influence of chips has echoed across the globe for years. In the latest, the world's 2 biggest economies seem to be sparring to gain an upper hand in the race to unlock the true potential of semiconductors. Chips are crucial for the growth of many technologies such as artificial intelligence. This week, the Biden administration announced a sweeping set of export control on chip manufacturing equipment and software that will make it more difficult for Chinese companies like Huawei and ByteDance to develop cutting-edge AI.
美方的所谓报告，在没有任何实质证据的情况下，炮制诱导性的结论，对华泼脏水，搞栽赃陷害，仍是政治操弄溯源的老套路。 没有任何的可信度。
In retaliation, China banned exports of gallium, germanium, antimony, and other high-tech materials to the US. Gallium and germanium are key components in semiconductors. While the US and China wrestle to exert their influence in the tech world, it can be an opportunity for India. New Delhi has benefited from the geopolitical tensions between the US and China ever since Donald Trump's first term. China's export share in the US has seen a decline since 2019. This has benefited countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and India, as they have witnessed an increase in export opportunities to the US. China's semiconductor market size was estimated at $180 billion in 2023. In comparison, the Indian semiconductor industry is expected to grow more than twofold over the next 6 years to reach $109 billion by 2030, which is up from $38 billion in 2023. India needs at least 10 more semiconductor chip fabrication companies to set up shop in the next decade. With Trump just weeks away from a return to the White House, New Delhi will be looking to grab all opportunities.
All right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Sense. Thanks so much for watching.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora, we cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here. NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना।
Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. I'm Aarti Krishnan. Delhi's borders choked again as farmers protest. We'll bring you more on the Maharashtra politics as well as politics continues post oath taking. But first, the headlines. Farmers resumed Delhi Chalo March. Security tightened at Shambhu border. Tear gas shells fired to stop farmers from entering capital. Day 2 of Maharashtra oath-taking ceremony. MVA MLAs take oath after boycotting Day 1. MVA MLAs protest, alleging EVM manipulation. Jugi politics in Delhi ahead of polls. BJP protests in thousands slum settlements. NDTV's Sanjay Pugalia in an exclusive conversation with Tripura CM Manik Saha, CM Conrad Sangman and Union Minister Sindhya at the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav, celebrating culture and economic growth of Northeast. Syrian regime falls to rebels, marking the end of the Assad rule. Reports say President Assad flees Damascus. Australia secured a resounding victory over India by 10 wickets in the day-night second test to level the series 1-1 at Adelaide Oval. Test series comes to an end in less than 3 days. The farmers have resumed their Delhi Chalo march towards Delhi. Police tightened security at Shambhu border. Security personnel have fired tear gas shells in an attempt to stop the farmer protesters from moving ahead into the national capital. Farmer leader Sarwan Singh Pandar says the centre is still adamant despite 300 days of protests. Listen in.
देखिए दोनों फोरम जैसे किसान मजदूर मोर्चा और एसकेएम गैर राजनीतिक की ओर से आज 300 दिन दोनों मोर्चों को चलते हुए हो गए हैं। और दूसरा हमारा बड़ा ऐलान था कि पंजाब में जहां भी भाजपा के कोई भी पदाधिकारी केंद्र के पंजाब कोई भी आएंगे तो हम उसका विरोध करेंगे। हमें अभी मालूम नहीं सुना है सैनी साहब और गडकरी जी शायद अमृतसर जा रहे हैं। हम यहां से आह्वान करते हैं देश के किसान को, पंजाब के किसानों को, उनका विरोध होना चाहिए। अगर वो वहां जाते हैं तो पंजाब में भाजपा के जो भी अधिकारी पदाधिकारी निकलेंगे उसका विरोध किया जाएगा।
My colleague Anushka joins us with more details. Anushka, take us to the ground situation. Farmers, they're still protesting. Earlier we heard that tear gas shells were fired on the farmers to stop them from entering the capital.
Well, certainly what we are seeing is that 101 farmers have started their march towards Delhi. But what we are also seeing is that the police, the security personnel that are deployed here are constantly using tear gas, are shelling in fact the tear gas on the farmers who are trying to march towards Delhi. So far 3 to 4 rounds of tear gas shelling has been done on the farmers. And also according to several farmers here, one person has been injured and has been rushed to the hospital from this protest site. We are showing you visuals from the, this is few meters away from the site where protest is going on. Here thousands of farmers are gathered here and are in fact raising slogans against the government and are also saying that till the government does not hear what they have to say, till somebody from the authority does not come here and in fact talk to them about their needs, they will keep on protesting like this only. What we saw on Friday, same picture can be seen today as well. What we are also seeing is that the police personnel are using tear gas against the farmers who are protesting right now. Also, what we are seeing is that the police, the farmers are have so far said that they will keep this protest peaceful, and they are in fact peacefully marching towards the Shambhu border, where 7 layers of barricading have been kept in place to prevent them from marching forwards. Also, the police have asked the farmers that they should in fact show the identity cards before marching forward, because they needed to match the names of the farmers who in fact were told to march towards Delhi. The farmers have denied to provide the identity cards because they have said that they are in fact not allowed to march forward. That is why they will not be going to show, they will not be showing them the identity cards also. And what we are also seeing is that the farmers have said this protest will go on till somebody from the authority comes here and tells the farmer about what all can be done regarding their demands and regarding their needs. What we are also seeing is that the police personnel that are deployed here, 7 layers of barricadings have been kept in place so that the farmers cannot march forward. The farmers are patiently waiting for the security personnel to stop firing tear gas at them so that they could march forward. But also what we are seeing is that the police personnel are in fact telling the farmers to move back and not to protest forward and not to march forward Delhi, because they have been given no permission as such to move towards Delhi. Also at the protest site there are 101 farmers, and back here few meters away from the protest site we are seeing thousands of farmers who have gathered here to protest. They are in fact saying that till somebody from the authority does not come here, they will keep on protesting like this. They have 12-point demands that they kept forward in front of the government. Now these are the 5-year-long demands that the farmer have been keeping in place. Since February 13, the farmer are camping here at the Shambhu border. We are showing you live visuals from the site where protests are going on. Now we are showing that 5th round of tear gas shelling has been done on the farmers who are protesting here, but the farmers are not budging from their place. They are in fact marching forward and are saying that they will keep on protesting like this till their demands are not met. We can show you the visuals also. You can clearly see that the tear gas has been fired on the farmers, and because of that the farmers are quite facing a lot of difficulties also, and they have said that in fact one person has been injured and has been rushed to the hospital, and that is why the farmers here are quite angry also. They are saying that quite agitated, if I may say, because they have said that nobody from the government is willing to in fact talk to them and are using force against them. They are using tear gas and they are shelling tear gas against the farmers who are protesting.
Thank you, Anushka, for joining us and bringing us those details from the ground. It's day 2 of oath taking in Maharashtra. 114 MLAs took oath today, including MVA MLAs. And after taking oath, the MVA MLAs continue to protest against the manipulation of EVMs, as they claim. Remember, the newly elected MLAs of the Mahavikas Aghadi Alliance staged a walkout on day 1 of the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly during the oath-taking ceremony, alleging that the ruling Mahayuti coalition's victory was engineered through manipulation of EVMs. Listen in to these reactions.
मैं इतना ही कहूँगा, विपक्ष को ये जो महाराष्ट्र की जनता ने क्लियर मैंडेट दिया है उसका स्वागत करना चाहिए। अभी उन्होंने कल शपथ नहीं ली थी, बोले ईवीएम का घोटाला है, तो अभी आज शपथ ले ली, तो क्या ईवीएम का घोटाला के आक्षेप खत्म हो गया?
लोगों की भावनाओं को माननीय न्याय व्यवस्था और चुनाव आयोग, इनको लोगों की भावनाओं को हमने प्रदर्शित करना हमारा दायित्व था, वो हमने किया। और महाराष्ट्र में आज भी ये जो सरकार है वो जनता के वोट की सरकार नहीं है, वो मशीन की सरकार है, ये जनभावना है। और इसलिए अब ये लड़ाई रास्ते की चलेंगी, ये लड़ाई हाउस में भी चलेंगी, और इसलिए आज हमने वोट लेने का निर्णय लिया है। आज हम वोट लेंगे।
With me, a senior Congress MP, Ms. Varsha Gaikwad. Ma'am, we are seeing that the opposition seems to be pulling up its socks when it comes to the anti-EVM protests. We saw what Sharad Pawar sir said. Is there a long-term plan in place as far as anti-EVM activities is concerned by the opposition?
No, not only the opposition is concerned about this thing. Whole India is concerned about this thing, because people are voting, but what the result they are getting, they are not happy with that results. And the people from Markanwadi asking the the mock polling thing. So why the government is not taking that? Instead of doing that thing, what they are doing, they made their curfew, arrest some of the people. So that is not right. In Samvidhan, you must listen to the voice of the people. What people exactly want. Right now, Maharashtra people want there should be a mock polling in Markanwadi. And today I think Sharad Chandra Pawar is there. He's addressing right now. So let me listen him, and then we'll get back to you.
Yesterday we saw that the opposition MLAs did not take the oath, but today they are taking the oath. So which is why the ones in the power, they are saying, they're mocking basically. They're like, this is disrespecting people. When you delay the oath taking by one day, doesn't really make a lot of difference.
Who is disrespecting the people? We always respect the people, and that's the reason why we are using this platform. This is the Vidhi Mandal, where we have to raise the voice of the people. And what is the voice of the people right now? The voice of the people is they want the voting pattern to change. They don't want EVM. They want basically the ballot paper thing. So this is not the thing that what this government is saying. So I want that thing, most important thing, the government should listen to the people's voice.
Thank you so much. This was Ms. Varsha Gaikwad, who is very confident of the fact that the opposition will continue its fight against the EVM and push for paper ballot across the state. With camera person Sandesh Baikar, this is Anuj Raide reporting for NDTV from Mumbai.
My colleague Anuj joins us with more details. Anuj, take us through the latest coming in from the ground. We are learning that MLAs are still protesting against EVM manipulation, as they call it.
They are protesting, but the kind of protest that we saw yesterday has ended. That is basically them refraining from taking oath in the assembly. Right. As of now, 280 MLAs have taken their oath, and only 8 are remaining, who will in all likeliness be taking their oath tomorrow. So we see that the non-oath taking protest has ended today. When we were talking to these leaders about 3 important positions, right, which are to be filled now. One is that of Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and Leader of Opposition, especially Speaker and Leader of Opposition. Now, the opposition has decided to not field any candidate against the Mahayuti's candidate, that is Rahul Narvikar, who will be who was the speaker since 2022, and he'll now continue as the speaker in the next term as well. But when it comes about the leader of opposition, that is where the situation becomes a little tricky, because none of the parties in the opposition have 10% of the seats, as is required or mandated by law for any opposition parties to have their leader of opposition. The biggest party in the opposition is that of Shiv Sena with 20 seats, which is why we saw a delegation of 3 leaders from the Mahavikas Aghadi has met the Chief Minister today to request, so that the speaker can give, or rather allow basically the opposition parties to have their leader of opposition. Although, the rule of 10% is followed across the country, but the opposition leaders believe that it is not a hard and fast rule, and if the speaker is willing to have a leader of opposition in place, they would in all likeliness have won. But we are seeing that the protest against the EVM is now, the opposition is promising it to go outside of the Vidhan Bhavan or outside of Mumbai, where they'll be taking it across the state. We saw what happened today morning in Solapur's village, but it is expected to become a large-scale protest, at least if we are to believe the leaders of the opposition parties and their MLAs.
Right. Anuj, stay on with us. There's some more news coming in from Maharashtra. Now, cracks have widened within the MVA alliance as Aditya Thackeray takes on Akhilesh Yadav head-on. Aditya calls the Samajwadi Party BJP's B team. Samajwadi Party, remember, had walked out from the MVA alliance with their two MLAs over a post on Babri Masjid demolition by a UBT leader. Samajwadi Party has also responded to Aditya Thackeray's taunt, saying that they strongly oppose Aditya's remarks. My colleague Anuj still with us, but before that, quickly listen into these remarks.
मैं उन पे ज़्यादा बयान नहीं देना चाहता. वो कभी-कभी भाजपा की बी टीम यानी यहाँ क्या अखिलेश जी के नहीं. अखिलेश जी अपनी लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. यहाँ की जो है वो कभी-कभी भाजपा की बी टीम की जैसे बर्ताव करते हैं वो हमने पहले भी देखा है. और इस चुनाव में भी मुझे ज़्यादा बोलने के लिए आप इस पे ना लाइए. उन्होंने किसकी मदद की, कैसे मदद की, तो सबको जाहिर है. लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि कल का जो ट्वीट था वो पहले भी करते हैं, लेकिन हमारा जो हिंदुत्व है स्पष्ट है. हमने कभी ये नहीं कहा कि हम हिंदुत्ववादी नहीं है. हमारा हिंदुत्व घर में चूल्हा जलाने वाला हिंदुत्व है, हाथ को काम देने वाला हिंदुत्व है. हृदय में राम और हाथ को काम, ये करने वाला हिंदुत्व. और हम स्पष्ट है, हमारा हिंदुत्व सबको साथ में लेके चलने वाला है. यानी कहा था भाजपा ने सबका साथ सबका विकास, लेकिन हम सबका साथ सबका विकास असल में करते हैं.
आदित्य साहब को ये चाहिए कि महाविकास आघाड़ी की आगे की दिशा वो बताते हैं. दो प्रश्न हमने उठाए हैं. एक कि भाई आप कट्टर हिंदुत्ववादी दिशा में जा रहे हो क्या. दूसरा हमने पूछा था कि आपको वोट किसके मिले. इन चीज़ों का खुलासा न करते हुए सन्माननीय आदित्य जी ने एक इल्ज़ाम लगाया जो हम जिसका निषेध करते हैं. ये बिल्कुल गलत है और हम वरिष्ठ नेताओं के साथ बैठ के इसकी बात करें.
Right, my colleague Anuj still with us. Anuj, now the war of words between Samajwadi Party and the UBT has blown wider. Earlier we did see Samajwadi Party state chief saying that they want to walk out of the alliance, but now Aditya Thackeray also making a taunt against Samajwadi Party.
Yes, Aditya Thackeray has attacked Samajwadi Party, but he was very specific in noting that his attack is directed towards Abu Azmi in specific and not necessarily Samajwadi Party at the national level. He's very well aware of the involvement that Samajwadi Party has in the India alliance, if you talk it from the Lok Sabha's perspective. But he maintains that the Hindutva of Shiv Sena, with which Samajwadi Party's state unit, that is Abu Azmi, seems to have a problem with, is very different from that of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Yesterday, while speaking to the media, Abu Azmi time and again reiterated on the fact that if Shiv Sena is going ahead with the agenda of Hindutva, even after splitting away from the Bharatiya Janata Party in their alliance, there is no difference between BJP and Shiv Sena. But that is where Aditya Thackeray has come down heavily and has pointed out the difference between their Hindutva yet again. But, when you talk about the split has officially not been taken place, because we talked to Jitendra Awad before this. We also talked to Rohit Pawar, who said that it was an emotional statement given by Abu Azmi, and, a proper or an official decision on it will only be taken once the leaders, that is Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray and also Akhilesh Yadav sit down and talk about it. But as of now, the members of the Mahavikas Aghadi and their MLAs still believe that Mahavikas Aghadi is as united and as intact as it always was. But there surely is a bit of scuffle between especially the state unit of Samajwadi Party and Aditya Thackeray after the social media post put by Milind Narvekar, a close aide of Uddhav Thackeray, wherein they celebrated the attack on the masjid on 6th of December. And we saw that they're also talking about how the seat distribution arrangement in the month of October before polls, was not done properly. So all of these reasons are basically being taken into consideration by Abu Azmi, who is the state president of Samajwadi Party, while giving this reaction of walking out of MVA.
Right. Thank you, Anuj, for joining us and bringing us those details. Geopolitics in the national capital ahead of the assembly elections. The BJP has held protests in around 1,000 slum settlements across the city. Slum dwellers and BJP workers had come together to highlight local issues allegedly caused by the negligence of the Kejriwal government. BJP MPs, MLAs, councillors and senior officials took part in the demonstrations at various locations. My colleague Shreya brings us this report.
Right ahead of the Delhi Assembly elections, the BJP is ready to conduct their outreach campaigns to woo a chunk of the 70% voters who belong to the scheduled caste community, and they are conducting this campaign in all the slum clusters around the national capital. Right now, I am at Malviya Nagar's Valmiki camp, and let's get talking to the residents and try to understand what is their sentiment, mood right ahead of the elections. What are their demands? What are their issues? Are they happy with the current government who have been in power for the last 10 years, or are they are willing to explore other options in the upcoming elections? Sir, आपका नाम बताइए, आप कितने साल से इधर रह रहे हो?
यहाँ मैं सन 90 से हूँ जी।
आपका नाम?
नथी।
इधर क्या दिक्कतें हैं? सीवेज का, पानी का, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का, क्या क्या दिक्कतें हैं ये बताइए हमें।
मैम ऐसा है, न तो पानी की परेशानी, न बिजली की परेशानी, सब काम बिल्कुल यहाँ का ओके है। केजरीवाल जी ने काम बिल्कुल फिट कर रखा है। यहाँ से अब ये नाली मोरियाँ हैं तो इतनी जगह मिलेगी, उसमें वो डालेंगे, अभी थोड़ी का भाई सर पे डाल ले बस।
दीदी, इधर सीवेज का प्रॉब्लम है, पानी भर जाता है।
टट्टी का पूरा पानी इधर उधर, सबकी दिक्कत परेशानी है। घरों में पानी टट्टी का भरा पड़ा, देखो सारी गटरें भरे पड़ी हैं।
ये क्या बोलते हैं, सीवर का ये ज़्यादा सीवर भरे रहते हैं हर वक्त। कल बोला था भी, कह रहे थे भेजेंगे, भी गाड़ी आएगी खोलेंगे, तो सुनाई हो ही नहीं रही है। बहुत ज़्यादा घरों में लैटरिन बहुत ज़्यादा बह रही है, बहुत बुरा हाल है।
इधर का सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी आपको क्या लगता है? इधर आप लोग सेफ फील करते हो?
कुछ भी नहीं है, सेफ नहीं है।
हमारे तो रसोई में भी पानी लैट्रिन का भर जाता है, खाना नहीं बना पाते हैं हम लोग, और बैठ भी नहीं सकते हैं, नहा भी नहीं सकते हैं। हमारा तो वही है।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah is on a 2-day visit to Jodhpur. Amit Shah addresses the 60th Foundation Day Parade of the Border Security Force. He attended the Raising Day Parade at STC BSF Training Center. He also unveiled a statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel at the Circuit House during his visit. Listen in to what he had to say.
देश के प्रतिष्ठित राजनीतिज्ञ, वैचारिक
591 किलोमीटर की बाड़बंदी 150 से ज्यादा पॉइंट्स पर थी, जो बाढ़ को, बाकी की बाढ़ को निरर्थक बनाती थी। इसको पूरा करने का काम किया है। 1159 किलोमीटर पर फ्लड लाइट लगाए गए हैं, 573 बॉर्डर आउटपोस्ट बनाए हैं, 589 ऑब्जर्वेशन पोस्ट बनाए हैं। लगभग 3000 गांवों में ये वाइब्रेंट विलेज कार्यक्रम प्रायोगिक स्तर पर शुरू किया है, और उसके बाद में इसको देश की सीमा के हर गांव तक हम आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your lives.
News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From maximum city, Mumbai,
to the seat of governance, Delhi,
NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
the energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migration.
Right. In fact, at this point, Tripura CM Manik Saha had an exclusive conversation with NDTV. Sanjay Pugalia talks about development in Tripura from national highways, rail and air connectivity to the third strongest internet connection. Listen in.
एक एक राज्य अपने लिए क्या करें, पड़ोसी राज्य के साथ क्या करें, और जो दुनिया भर की कनेक्टिविटी का इन्होंने जिक्र किया कि एक नया सप्लाई चेन खड़ा होने वाला है, उसमें त्रिपुरा का जिसको कहते हैं कि पिवट और द कोर या फाउंडेशनल आइडियाज क्या है जिस पर आप काम कर रहे हैं, वो हम जानना चाहेंगे।
देखिए, सर्वप्रथम मैं हमारी यूनियन मिनिस्टर श्री ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया जी को मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ, आपको भी धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ। हमारे साथ दोनों मुख्यमंत्री भी है और देवी और सज्जनों, बहुत अच्छा लगा यहाँ ये जो एक प्रोग्राम इस बार यहाँ पर हुआ है दिल्ली में। और ख़ास करके आप जानते हैं त्रिपुरा एक राज्य है जो पहले माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जब आए हैं, एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी के कारण जिस तरह वहाँ पर डेवलपमेंट हुआ, उन्हें खास करके एज रिप्रेजेंटेटिव फ्रॉम त्रिपुरा मैं तो कह सकता हूँ हम लोग कभी भी सोचे नहीं थे। उन्होंने कहा था कि हीरा मॉडल आपको देंगे, अब हीरा प्लस दे रहे हैं। यही मतलब नेशनल हाईवे, 6 नेशनल हाईवे त्रिपुरा में, पहले तो एक ही नेशनल हाईवे था, वो भी मैंने वन लाइन ही बोलूँगा इस तरह था। तो अभी नेशनल हाईवे हम लोग 6 है, 4 ऑन प्रिंसिपल और भी मतलब उन्होंने एक्सेप्ट किया है। और इंटरनेट में अब अगर सोचिएगा त्रिपुरा में थर्ड स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट इंटरनेट है त्रिपुरा में। और रेल का बात करूं, कभी सोचा भी नहीं थे, पूरा नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ही आ रहा है अभी, लेकिन त्रिपुरा में अभी राजधानी से शुरू करके, कांचनजंगा से शुरू करके, बिस्टाडोम से शुरू करके हर किस्म का ट्रेन अभी अगरतला से जा रहा है, इवन लास्ट बॉर्डर साबरूम तक पहुंच रहा है। अब सोचिए, कभी सोचा भी नहीं था। मतलब जिस तरह वहाँ पर डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है। और एयरवे का बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं समझता हूँ विद ड्यू रेस्पेक्ट टू अदर माय कोलीग्स, त्रिपुरा का जो एयरपोर्ट है ये सपोज टू बी द माने बेस्ट एयरपोर्ट इन नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न रीजन। और ये मेरे ख्याल से अभी इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट भी अभी डिक्लेयर करने वाले हैं। और यहाँ से हम लोग ऑलरेडी बात भी हो चुका था कि फर्स्ट फ्लाइट जाएगा चिटागांग में, लेकिन आप सब जानते हैं बांग्लादेश में जो समस्या अभी के लिए नहीं हो पा रहा है। और अभी देखिए बांग्लादेश के साथ हमारा वहाँ मैत्री सेतु भी बन गया है, ऑलरेडी रेडी भी था। तो हम लोग का अप्रोच रोड भी बना हुआ है चिटागांग को लेके, जो साउथ ईस्ट एशिया का गेटवे बनने वाला था। तो ये अभी रुका हुआ है। ट्रेन भी बांग्लादेश होके कलकत्ता आना था, ये भी ख़त्म हो गया, माने पूरा माने ये भी माने स्टार्ट होने वाला था, तो ये बंद हो गया अभी, माने अभी रुका हुआ है। होगा, इसके बिना तो होगा नहीं। और त्रिपुरा में आप देखिए 28 राज्य में सबसे पहले कोई भी डेवलपमेंट हो, ये इंडस्ट्री हो, कोई भी चीज़, और वहाँ शांति अभी 28 राज्य में नीचे से 3rd पोजीशन में, अभी लास्ट ईयर 5th पोजीशन में था अभी। तो वहाँ पर पीसफुल स्टेट आप कह सकते हैं। और वहाँ जाति जनजाति मिल के हम लोग, मणिपुरी और भी जो जातियाँ हैं सब मिल के हम लोग अच्छी तरह से वहाँ पर रह रहे हैं अभी।
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has fled the country of Syria for an unknown destination, ending a 50-year regime. The opposition forces in war-torn Syria took over the capital of Damascus early this morning. The UN envoy seeks urgent talks in Geneva to ensure an orderly political transition. We'll continue tracking these stories for you. For now, we take a short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Farmers resumed Delhi Chalo March, security tightened at Shambhu border. Day 2 of Maharashtra oath-taking ceremony, MVA MLAs take oath after boycotting Day 1. Jugi politics in Delhi ahead of elections, BJP protests in 1,000 slum settlements. NDTV Sanjay Pugalia speaks exclusively to Tripura CM Conrad Sagma and Sindhya at the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
This December, NDTV Auto's Maiden Conclave brings together the brightest minds and leaders of the auto industry under one roof. From green mobility to AI-driven road safety, discover innovations shaping the future. Join us for an exclusive conversation with Sri Nitin Gadkari as we delve into India's journey to becoming a global manufacturing hub. December 10th, 4 p.m. onwards at the NDTV Auto Conclave.
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024.
NDTV नेटवर्क की तरफ से मैं आप सब लोगों का बहुत स्वागत करना चाहता हूं।
Celebrating the extraordinary.
Thank you, jury. बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं।
Honoring those who shape India's future.
For me, it is a great privilege to participate.
Meet the exceptional individuals who are NDTV's Indians of the Year.
Ananya Pandey.
Vijay Murugesh Nirani.
गौतम हरी सिंघानिया।
NDTV इंडियन ऑफ द ईयर, इंडिया पोलिंग बूथ ऑफिसर्स।
आज का दिन जो फुट सोल्जर्स, प्रिजाइडिंग ऑफिसर्स जो टीम है उनको सेलिब्रेट करने का है।
A night of celebration. A night of recognition.
Thank you so much NDTV for this honor.
Thank you so much NDTV. This means a lot to me.
A night of joy.
भगवान आपको लंबी उम्र दे।
NDTV Indian of the Year 2024. Only on the NDTV network.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your life.
We are here talking about our Vision 2036. And while talking about the Vision 2036, and when we have these two gentlemen on the stage and two athletes who've had phenomenal first innings as a rugby player and as a cricketer, and a phenomenal second innings as an administrator and as a commentator, I'll have to start with their journey, really. Rahul, I'll come to you first. Sport, how did that happen? And the very initial steps.
Well, I think I'll focus on rugby. How did that happen? I think at the time, I mean, today we have over 1,200 schools and about 120,000 players. But when I started playing rugby, there were 2 schools, and there must have been 200 players. The only 2 schools that played rugby was my school, Cathedral School in Bombay, and La Martiniere in Calcutta. So I learnt the sport when I was 14. Cricket was my first sport, and I was sort of spotted for Bombay schools, and I used to open the bowling for school. But any kind of vertical movement in my biology stopped very quickly. So I realized that I'm not going to be, I can't really open the bowling for school any longer. And at that time, pretty coincidentally, rugby was being, we were made to play. And I remember being struck by three things when I began to play. Number one, here was a game in which an Indian boy could legitimately get dirty. His clothes could get dirty. He would not be thrown out of the house with dirty clothes. Second,